Are the people behind me terrorists? MPs have voted that they are. Politicians in the House of Lords also think that they are. But what do judges in the High Court think about Keir Starmer's plan to ban Palestine Action as a terrorist organisation? I'm outside the Royal Courts of Justice in London, where Palestine Action are trying to stop or at least delay a law that would make membership or even support of their group punishable by up to 14 years in prison from midnight tonight. I'm about to go inside to listen to this landmark case, which has huge implications for civil liberties. First, listen to what the protesters have to say.
So what's happening in the court today is that the best lawyers in the country, right, Gareth Pearce of Bernberg, Pearce and Partners, represented the Birmingham Six, has represented countless people molested by these ridiculous so-called counter-terrorism powers. She's instructed some of the best public law KCs in the country to represent Palestine Action in this application for interim relief today. And as to the legal merits of the challenge, this is well established. It's possible to challenge an order laid before Parliament in this way. It's been done before, and it seems likely that there's every chance that with a good judge, with enough courage on the bench, the High Court bench today, they could get what they're asking the judge for, which is interim relief, which would mean that the order would be suspended. The effect of the order would be suspended. None of the people in Palestine Action would be subjected to the criminal consequences that flow from that order until such time as the legal challenge is determined. And as to the broader merits of that challenge, there are precedents within the English judiciary of judges taking a courageous stand in defence of people's civil liberties.
Zionism is obviously in crisis. It can't sustain itself, and that's why its staunchest allies in the British Empire are engaged in this staggering assault on our civil liberties, all right? Those terrorism powers were pioneered as part of the colonial project in Ireland. They were obviously designed to attack groups like the Provisional IRA and so on, but they are now being wielded against people who do not engage in any violence against people. Speaks to the sheer weakness of Zionism. Keir Starmer and his cabinet of lying war criminals are pathetic and weak. They are not strong enough to stop us.
I'm a healthcare worker, and I had the deep privilege of working with our Palestinian colleagues in Gaza. I have seen terrorism, but it is not here. It's the Israeli drones circling the sky above Gaza. It's the Israeli warships off Gaza's coastline. It's the Israeli soldiers who pointed their guns into our ambulance, directly at me and my colleagues, as we carried patients from Gaza City. Terrorism is the IOF. Terrorism is the UK government's unfettered support for a genocidal state. Shame.
I've just come out of the High Court, where the case is being heard in a room right up there behind me. And Huda Amori, the co-founder of Palestine Action, is being represented by one of the lawyers that took the genocide case to the International Court of Justice. And she said that the situation in Gaza is an annihilation, it's a genocide, and Israel has dropped the equivalent of 6 Hiroshima bombs on Gaza using fighter jets which have components made in Britain. She said that people in Britain are horrified at seeing the massacres live streamed and knowing that some of the weapons used come from the UK. And at that point, the judge stepped in and said, surely, since Labour introduced a partial arms embargo in September 2024, there are no longer weapons being sent from Britain to Israel for use in Gaza, save for the F-35 fighter jets. Huda Amori's barrister responded by saying that is a very big save for when fighter jets are being used to massacre Palestinians on a daily basis. And she said it was deeply ironic that on the very same day the Labour government tried to ban Palestine Action, it had also been celebrating an anniversary of the suffragettes who used explosives in their campaign of direct action for equal rights. Palestine Action's defence team also pointed out that terrorism, although it can mean serious damage to property, normally involves the use of explosives or release of chemicals, in other words, dangerous means with which to damage that property, and not just the application of paint. They also pointed to recent case law from Europe and environmental protests in the UK, where protesters have been found to be within their rights to, for example, spray paint on Van Gogh paintings and statues of historic figures. Palestine Action have also complained to the judge that the Home Office's decision to ban their group appears to be based on representations from the Israeli government, pro-Israel lobby groups and Elbit Systems, Israel's largest arms company, which makes 85% of the drones used in Gaza. The judge asked, why is it unlawful to take representations from the Israeli government and Elbit Systems? To which Palestine Action's lawyers pointed out that it's not their constitutional role to advise the British government on terrorism legislation. Palestine Action have also pointed out that it's unprecedented for a group which attracts so much public support to be proscribed as a terrorist organisation. They said they had over 20,000 people on their mailing lists, 250,000 followers on Twitter or X, and around 400,000 followers on Instagram. They also referred to the support they've received from the celebrated Irish writer Sally Rooney, as well as the Guardian columnist George Monbiot, who said this in a recent video to Double Down News.
This, I believe, needs to be our I'm Spartacus moment, where one after another we stand up and say, I support Palestine Action. I support Palestine Action. If tens of thousands of us do that, well, what are they going to do? Are they going to arrest and jail us all as sympathizers with terrorism just by saying that we support a non-violent protest movement?
I'm going to head back into court now to listen to the government's arguments and see how they're trying to justify this unprecedented ban.
Shame on you! Out! Out of the UK! Zionists not welcome in the UK!
So this guy over there with the sunglasses, red hair, he's called Mark Burbeck. He constantly comes to our protests with, I don't know if it's the same banner. Oh yeah, it says stop the lies, there is no genocide. So highly offensive for our protest after seeing the thousands of babies and children mangled and killed by the people they support. And he keeps coming to our protests. The police, as you see, protects them. Yeah.
Terrorism Act 2000 and its precursor legislation, which was of course pioneered in the north of Ireland to try and suppress the threat posed by the Irish Republican movement against British colonialism in Ireland. That legislation does anticipate the possibility that people will just put a different name on the organisation and claim not to be committing the crime. So it's not as simple as that. And there is provision within the Terrorism Act 2000 to say that the Home Secretary can lay before Parliament an order suggesting that this group has renamed itself, or it goes by multiple names. So that by itself is not enough of a tactic to defeat it. But what they can't do is stop copycat groups from springing up and saying, no, we've got nothing to do with Palestine Action. We just also hate the fascist ideology of Zionism and want to attack its obnoxious arms companies that somehow have a presence here in Britain. And I genuinely, it's that classic thing. It's sort of I am Spartacus. It's like if there's enough of us say like, no, I just like direct action, and if enough of us do it, then they won't be able to defeat us. There's too many of them.
So I've just come out of the High Court where the judge has ruled in favour of the Home Office. This means that from midnight tonight, Palestine Action will become a banned terrorist organisation unless its legal team can somehow overturn that decision at the Court of Appeal in the next few hours, which seems extremely unlikely. We haven't yet seen the judge's reasons for reaching this ruling, as it's literally just been handed down. But we know that earlier today, the Home Office argued that it wasn't this court's jurisdiction to make decisions about which group should be listed under the Terrorism Act. That law has a specific body set up called the Proscribed Organisations Appeals Commission. It's a very secretive and little known body. Very few groups have ever managed to get themselves unbanned once they are on this list. And now Palestine Action is on that list alongside groups like Al-Qaeda. Being a member or even just a supporter of the organisation could result in 14 years of imprisonment. This takes us into completely uncharted territory.